Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Talia. And here's her story. Dear Ollie, my husband and I are in dire need of advice. We are in the midst of a sensitive situation, and any helpful suggestions from you or your subscribers would be most welcome. You did a video for me a while back called The Narcissist Will Always Try to Destroy You. So please keep in mind that I am a survivor of abuse at the hands of a sadistic, malignant narc mom. I have been no contact with my family for 3 years. My husband and I have been married for 6 years, together 7. I have a stepson, age 9. He's a beautiful child. I love him dearly. When my husband and I were dating, he was in the process of a divorce from his ex-wife. This was in August 2010. In October 2010, my husband's ex took the child down to Orlando to visit with her family. She and my husband had a verbal agreement that she would return in a few months once he got his own place and was able to get things together for her and the child to return. They had agreed to live together, or he would put her up in an apartment and pay her expenses because she is the mother of his child. That was before we became serious and everything changed. They divorced in December 2010, and she was still in Florida. My husband went into legal proceedings unprepared and without counsel. He was put on the spot by the judge, who told him that she, the judge, would not grant him a divorce with the child out of state. My husband said that he was in a dilemma. Their marriage had ended because she, also a narcissist, but we'll get into that in a moment, cheated on him with a woman and came out as gay. Being a Christian, my husband faced a moral dilemma in the courtroom. He and his ex had filled out a custody arrangement that the judge dismissed. He didn't want to wait to divorce. He didn't want to wait to divorce her. So he trusted that she would come back with the boy by March. The judge granted him the divorce, but gave the ex sole physical and my husband legal custody. Fast forward to March, my husband and I get engaged. His ex then decided that since he was moving on with his life, she would not return to Alaska with the child, ever. This sent my husband into a very depressed state that continued until May. A bit about his ex-wife. She is cold, unemotional, abused my husband mentally, psychologically, yelled at him, lied to him. She used to come into my place of business before I met my husband. And when I first realized that she was his ex, I was stunned. She was always so rude to me and other employees, holier than thou, and frankly, she reminds me of my mother. Now to this date, she refuses to return to Alaska. The legal system won't do anything about it. My husband learned too late that he could have forced her back up here, but it would had to have been within the first 6 months, to our understanding. After speaking to 3 lawyers, including one in Florida, a private investigator, fathers groups, the answer is the same. She cannot be forced to comply, and the child may never get a say as to which parent he chooses to live with as an adolescent. Throughout the years, my husband has had to fight her on everything. She had the child tested, and he's supposedly autistic, which she and he, the child, use as an excuse for his poor behavior. We have never seen documents verifying that he is indeed autistic, and she refuses to give him those. He is, however, ADD like my husband. She had the child placed on speed, I guess this is a medication, Vancy, for some time and refused to quit the meds, even though they made the child anorexic. My husband was finally able to force her to stop drugging him by sending a cease and desist letter to the doctor, who then called the ex and informed her she was in the legal wrong. She refuses to give us information for his babysitters and daycare. Her parents refuse also. She never reminds the child of my husband's birthday, which passes without a phone call. She is hostile about everything, denies that anything is her fault, and refuses to work with my husband on any capacity except for giving him the child during summer break. She agreed to giving him every Christmas, then backtracked and said every other one. We don't have a visitation order in place. My husband has majorly hesitated on this for reasons I can't understand, but he tells me it's because he thinks it will make things more complicated. I don't know. It can make things more complicated. Look, you see what she's already been able to get away with thus far. And that's going to lawyers. 3 different lawyers in 2 different states. It's fucked up. And the whole system is set up for the father not to fight, to discourage you from fighting. Because most times he's going to lose anyway. And it's just going to be, might as well take the money he's going to spend and flush it down the drain. And I promise you, the son's problems are a direct correlation to the mother's narcissism. The child had major behavioral and learning issues in school last year. He almost failed. Her response to this was to have his teacher give him half the work amount that other children in his class had, and he was still failing. When my husband confronted her on this, she denied being responsible for any of the behavioral issues 3 times in the same email, which means she knows she's the one responsible for all this. This is the type of kid that gets labeled autistic. That's not autistic. This is a direct reaction to bad parenting. She blames it all on the child, saying it's his fault because he's ADD and autistic. As a side note on the autism, no one in our family believes he's autistic. I worked with autistic children before, high functioning, certainly doesn't have any of those traits. A lady we know from church said the same thing, and she is the children's pastor at our church, meaning she is exposed to a lot of children, and she said that she doesn't see it in him. Again, we could be wrong. ADD, yes. Autistic, we have our doubts. We get my stepson 2 months out of the year, and they're hella hard. Every year his behavior gets worse. Temper tantrums like a 5-year-old, emotional numbness and distance. He's a narcissist. She's made him into a narcissist with extreme entitlement issues. He won't let us touch him. He pulls away. He won't tell us that he loves us. He won't thank us for anything. He asks for things constantly. His mother and he live with her parents, and they have lived there since they left. She is not a functioning adult and raising him to be the same dependent way. They buy him things constantly, and my husband says that his room looks like one of the hoarders. This boy has no appreciation for anything, anyone, doesn't know or understand what valuing people means. Like I said, he asks for things constantly when we go places. He steals things. I knew it. We caught him stealing things from a friend's house 2 days in a row. When his mother was confronted on this, she laughed it off and said he has a bad habit of that and he steals things from school all the time. Oh, that's been a problem for him. She didn't even tell us that he was stealing, and it's been for months. His behavior's out of control. He lies, is willfully disobedient. He's a manipulator through and through with his feelings. For example, last summer when my in-laws were visiting, he had a huge tantrum over being given a tablespoon of baked beans. It was horrible, and my mother-in-law left the room crying. He threw himself on the floor, bawled like his dog had died, screamed and screamed over being asked to eat fucking beans. It's this way with pretty much everything, especially food, over which he has control over. Now, I know kids are picky with food, but he's bad. He eats separately from his family down in Florida at a separate table because he's such a problem eater. He's allowed to only eat half of his food and have dessert. He does whatever he wants down there, gets whatever he wants materially. His mother does not discipline him. She feeds him crap food like microwavable bacon, boxed food. Everything needs to be easy for her. He tells us that her mother, his grandmother, yells at his mom to do chores around the house, and she refuses. He tells us that she locks herself in her room all day and sleeps when not at work or school. Then she lies to us and says she is always with him. He eats slowly and cries for most of his meals because we make him eat everything on his plate before dessert. He will lie and say that he is too full to continue eating, but then wants dessert right after. When asked to clean his room, he cries or he lies and says that he did, but he didn't. He threw the dustpan on the floor yesterday when I asked him to sweep and cried over it. He says that he doesn't know how to sweep, so I showed him and walked away. He is highly disrespectful, ungrateful, tells my husband and I that we are wearing him down with our discipline, even though it's nothing abnormal to ask a child to clean up his room and to eat everything on his plate. I give him small servings and cook things he likes. Basically, he receives no discipline or consequences for his actions. The fact that he is stealing terrifies us. He is only happy when playing video games and ignores us the rest of the time. We think he is traumatized and continues to deal with his mother's narcissism. He's become a narcissist himself. He's become a spoiled, entitled little brat who's emulating his mother. If his mother locks herself in the room and cries when she's asked to do something, how the hell what do you expect from him if that's where he's living 10 months out of the year? And Florida family courts are fucked up. Believe me, I know. The reason why I'm emailing you is because our marriage is falling apart at the seams. We are Christians and do not believe in divorce. We believe in enduring to the end as the Lord commands in his scriptures, but we are close to God, but lately feel his voice is so far. We don't know what to do. My husband is an emotional wreck and cries all the time about the situation. I cry too. Today we have to let our son play video games because we're unsure of how to handle the situation and need breathing room. Every other word out of his mouth is sarcastic disrespect. He fights us on everything. My husband says that he wants to give up and not bring him back to Alaska anymore. We're supposed to spend Christmas with him and my in-laws in Arizona, but we don't want to. We're trying to hold on for dear life and don't know what to do. The child's mother refuses to hand him over, and my husband has said that he wants to ask her one last time to give him over, and if that she refuses, he will not bring the boy up anymore. I don't want to give up on him. He needs us, but every summer his behavior is worse. It's a miracle he passed the 3rd grade. His behavior is so bad it's draining us and our energy and drive. I love him, but he never thanks me for anything, and I'm doing more work than his mother does by cooking, cleaning, and providing for him with no love or appreciation in return. I know he's just a child, but what are we to do? His mother refuses us on everything. She's entirely vacant and all degaff about it. If we and don't give a fuck about it. If we give up on him, we will be in the moral wrong. No, you won't. Wronger than her, probably, if we continue this way, playing her game of parenting 2 months out of the year, then what? Nothing we've done throughout the years has stuck with him. He has resentment towards us and doesn't even listen when we talk to him. He is a whole other child, and his mother is slowly destroying him. She is a 16-year-old in a 32-year-old's body who still lives at home, has never lived on her own, provided for herself. This boy doesn't want to or know how to do anything for himself. We don't know what to do. The situation is destroying our marriage and our lives. My husband is having a hard time and is emotionally vacant. He says that he's fighting to come back, but there was an incident in December that went down with his ex, and she's been in even bigger pain since then. We are watching our son walk on the path of destruction and are powerless to stop it. The Bible says to seek wise counsel, and that's what I'm doing by emailing you. Thank you for all you do in helping narcissistic survivors. Take care, Talia. This might be hard for you to hear, Talia, but I actually agree with your husband. At this point, and this isn't going to happen, she's not going to give up control. It's either you give up custody to me and let me fix this kid, or don't send them here anymore. And that's going to be difficult for you and him. The emotional vacancy is the only way he can survive, and that's it, it's a hard thing to do, to have to emotionally move on from your kid to protect yourself. But what else do you do? The 2 months you get him, is it doing any good? No. For when 10 months out of the year, his mother, his grandparents give him everything he wants. Everything he wants. And he sees, and all he's doing is emulating the behavior of his own mother. Okay, because the problem down there is deeper than just the mother. It's the grandparents too who are enabling her. You're dealing with such a deep rabbit hole. Okay, you're going to have to take on that entire thing. And you're going to do it from Alaska, in Florida. I mean, you can't get any further apart than two ends of the country. And when you engage in court, it only gets worse. It only gets worse. What you're going to have to then prepare for, okay, are accusations of physical abuse and sexual abuse while he was up there. Oh yeah, it will happen. It will happen. If this woman refuses to work and locks at 32 years old, what do you think is going to happen? Especially in Florida. Okay, where you got the sleaziest of the sleazy family court lawyers. Backwards. You can't save this. There's too many people for too much. 10 months out of the year, they got him to form whatever narrative they want. The mother, the grandparents, and whoever else is surrounding that situation. You can't do that from, what are you, 7,000 miles from Orlando in Alaska? It's the longest distance emotional torture I've seen. And as young as your son is, you're going to have to maybe face, this kid's gone. This kid's gone at third grade, and that's terrible. But there's not much you're going to be able to do. I mean, unless you're going to be able to get on a plane and fight this out in Florida, or fight it out, and they're not going to let you do it from Alaska because she's got the physical custody in Florida. It's tough. I get it. It's tough. But he's young. He's third grade. This is going to get worse. This is going to get worse. I promise you. It's going to get worse. Because she's going to get worse. It always does. And as he gets older, it's going to get where the stealing is good. The stealing is an entitlement thing. I can do whatever I want because he sees his mother get away with whatever. She faces no consequences, so he faces no consequences. You're just the place he has to visit in the summer. Big deal. Most of the year, he's back there getting everything he wants. It sounds like he basically gets whatever he wants there anyway. So what I would do, I was your husband, I would say you got one last chance to fix this, or don't send him here anymore. You can keep him. That's what I would do. And that's as cold as that is. I mean, I agree with him. This is the only thing you can do. Because you will be dealing with horrendous accusations, legal fees, back and forth like you can't imagine. The accusation, you can't imagine. And people have tried to doubt me and then come back like, holy shit, you were right. Yeah, I was right. This is what happens. So I would follow his advice. You know, I would. It sounds like the best course of action. And remember, you can't fix this because the ex-wife has protected. It's not just her, it's the family who enables all this shit. And the things they could put in the child's head and the things they will put in the child's head once you try to fight this. That's the real issue. So thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for your story. I appreciate it. I hope this helps and works out. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype chat, phone call, have a private video made, Facebook chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video for someone who can't afford one, or just contribute to the channel in general, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unsure, the instructional video link pops up at the end of this video. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.